Bye, fly.
I'm ready.
Shoe fly, don't bother me.
Shoe fly. I don't know the song. I sound loud, don't I? Jerry?
That's not unusual.
Is that better?
Grab me to sing a song. Something's in the shoe, fly, shoe.
Something's in the buttermilk.
There you
Flies
go.
in the buttermilk. Shoe fly,
That's
shoe.
what it is.
Flies in the buttermilk. Shoe fly, shoe.
All right.
Shies in the buttermilk. Shoe fly, shoe.
Chili's
Get
trying to
the
fake.
away from me.
Ah!
Now he can't use that.
Verse number 2.
Because I cursed too much.
Verse number 2. Chili's in the buttermilk. Shoe fly. Shoe.
Oh,
Chili's
my
in the
that
buttermilk.
goodness.
Jerry's giving me that look.
Because I was
like,
already
oh,
thinking
yeah.
that's a perfect
I can
intro, and then
fucking
you have
use
to go.
that. I did on purpose, so you
gotta go-
can't use
you gotta
it
go-
without having to do a lot of work to get rid of it.
Oh, beep.
The whole song we beat out.
It's funny.
You're welcome,
He's already crying. We haven't even started officially.
Jerry. The look on Jerry's face, I just knew it. I knew it was coming.
Hi, I'm Patrick.
Hi, I'm Vince.
Hi, I'm Melissa, a.k.a. Buttermilk.
Hi, I'm Eric.
Hi, I'm Jerry.
And we represent the Lollipop Guild.
We represent the Lollipop
Guild. The Lollipop Guild. Lollipop Guild. Yeah, it's enough of that. Yeah, it's been a day. It's been a week.
Ooh.
It's been a month. It
We
has
say
been.
that every
single
episode.
I know.
We say it's been a
It's
rough
been-
week.
It has been a rough week. I had a great week.
Oh, it's been a great week, productive week.
Let's talk about temperature for a second, shall we?
let's
We
go.
like to talk.
Well-
What would an Outer Belt episode be if we didn't disclose the weather in Ohio at this
Yeah.
particular moment in time, which
Yeah.
sucks. But a day ago,
Oh, beautiful.
BEA
Oh, my goodness.
beautiful.
Beautiful.
I had the doors and windows open. It was
We did too.
Why
heat,
did-
Yeah.
heat off, the whole works.
That could explain my power bill. We didn't do that.
Funny,
Oh.
I have the doors and windows open every day,
Yeah.
no matter the temperature.
Yeah.
The doors
Yeah.
and windows are open.
I see.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. You guys have it so lucky.
Why?
Because you're working inside all day.
That's
Some
true.
of you. Most of you.
I dabble in the outside.
You dabble.
I
You
dabble.
dabble in the
Yeah.
outside world.
Yeah.
I do. I dabble. I try to bring the inside in. I'm thinking about a ficus.
Oh, gotcha. Gotcha, yeah.
Did you dabble today?
I dabbled today. So I got the opportunity this week to do something. I posted about it on social media and had a bunch of people congratulate me a little prematurely on it. I don't know if you saw or not. I got to solo.
Solo.
Wow.
Solo, you can't hear me. No. So I disclosed last week that I've been doing some private pilot license
Yes.
lessons, and when you get enough lessons and enough hours flying in an airplane, you actually get to fly by yourself, solo, not Han Solo, but like, but it literally, like people are so stupid. They take it so seriously. Like in the FAA handbook, it's like solo in bold print. It's like no one else in the plane with you.
Wow.
Like they're like bold. This is what this means in case you couldn't figure it out. So yeah, I got to actually do my first solo.
Wow.
Ooh.
Got to fly the airplane by myself, land it 3 times, take off 3 times. Obviously, it's surreal. So you know when you're on a roller coaster, Jerry,
Mm-hmm.
Eric,
I'm listening.
not so much y'all two, and you're like click, 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 and you see yourself getting close to the top, and like it's further down, and you got the anxiety and the excitement, and you know you're not gonna die, something like that, but you're like, this is gonna be epic, right?
Right.
And then you go over that crescendo, that hill, and you're like, yay! It was kind of like that.
Cool.
It was an awesome feeling. There was never a point where I was like, oh, I hope I can pull this off or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there was no, like, nervousness of, like, I'm going to fail and die or anything like that.
Right.
But there was the excitement of, like, wow, I could do this myself. Like, this is what I've been working for and I'm actually getting to do it now.
Right.
And there were a couple times I was doing it and flying around, and I was like, I would get a little bit of that little bit of nervousness on the back of my hair would start to raise or whatever, and it's like, no, you've done this for a long time now. I've got 50 hours in an airplane or something like that. Like, I've done this a lot. Do exactly what you were taught to do, and you'll be fine. and every time it was exactly just perfect, and it was a really, really great experience. I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to go do it more. Of course, I do it, and immediately the weather turns south. So like the ideal would be I would do like a solo flight, and then the next day or two I would do another solo flight. The next day or two do another solo flight, so everything's fresh, and the weather just it completely turned on us.
Turned on itself.
It turned
Definitely.
badly on us.
Does
so.
your instructor, while on the ground, still talk to you?
So they have the ability to, but the idea is no. The
Oh.
idea is I'm here if you need me, but hopefully you're able to actually, do everything without me. So that's kind of the goals. And before I actually got to that point, my instructor had stopped talking me through stuff, right? So they're more like sitting there watching, observing, letting me do everything. And then they weren't really giving any feedback, a little more relaxed, that kind of thing. And it's funny, actually, on the last landing in the last landing, then we went and did another round and then landed again. But on that last one before she decided it was time to do it, we had a bee pop up inside of the airplane on final. So, I mean,
Wow.
we're like 300 feet off the ground and about to land this thing. And that's the most critical period. Like that, it's like takeoff and landing. When you're that close to the ground, there's no margin of error. It's like you have to do perfect. If you don't, you just give it full throttle and you take back off again. It's called a go around. You've probably seen commercial airplanes do it. I was sitting at where were we? Atlanta. Eric and I were at Atlanta Airport last week, 2 weeks ago, something like that. And it was a very windy day, and I actually watched a few airplanes do the same thing. Like big airliners came in, Delta planes came in, they got close to the runway. It wasn't perfect, and they're like, nope, full throttle, just get myself out of it. I'll make a big loop, come back and do it again. So, like, that's what you're taught. If something goes awry, get it back in the air. No big deal. A freaking bee comes in, attacks her, doesn't come after me, but attacks her as I'm 300 feet off the ground about to land this thing. So I land it. It's beautiful. I actually did a really good job, which they're not all beautiful. I'm not saying I'm amazing. I'm saying, like, it was one of the few
Sure.
beautiful ones. And then we're doing touch and go. So it's where you, like, as soon as you land, we give it full throttle and we go right back up in the air, right? So the plane's only slowing down maybe 20 miles an hour, and then you're taking right back off again. So we do that at takeoff, and by the time we took off, she was, like, done with the bee. Like, it was over with. And my instructor was like, I'd love to give you some feedback on that one, but it felt perfect, and I didn't want you freaked out by the bee. She's like, so I'm not really entirely sure of how well that landing went or didn't go. Because that is the hardest thing of flying the plane, I'm learning. Like, the plane, when you start taking pilot's license, or if you ever go do a, what do they call those, discovery flight, the plane wants to take off. As soon as you give it the throttle, it's happiest in the air. It hates being on the ground. Once that propeller starts spinning, it wants to be in the air, and it loves it, and that's its happy place. So taking off's fairly easy. I mean, it gets complicated with other environmental issues, but if it's a pretty
Sure.
day, it wants to be in the air. It's going to take off, no problem. Landing it, the plane wants to be in the air, so it doesn't want to land. So that's the tricky part. Is I think about the remember the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where Indiana Jones is with his dad and they're getting off the blimp and he jumps into a little biplane, which is the old-fashioned like Red Baron looking plane.
Right.
And they sit in the seat, and his dad goes, I didn't know you knew how to fly. And he's like, fly? Yes. And he releases the airplane from the blimp, and he's like, land? No. Like, that's the thing is, like, landing is crazy difficult. Flying is easy. So that's really what we hammer on. Is just like, how do you fly? How do you land the plane? When you figure that out, then the rest gets a little easier. It was great. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I am excited for what the future holds with that.
Congratulations on solo.
Congrats.
Yeah, that's awesome. It reminds me with the feeling you said you had when you were taking off and you're doing your solo. Reminds me of when I first drove a truck by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Been through school, got my CDL, been with my trainers for however long, and I get my first load, show up, get in my truck, do my pre-trip, and I'm leaving the yard by myself for the first time.
Yeah.
It was like the freedom of it was great, right? I'm doing what I've been training to do all this time. It's great to have that freedom, but I'm out here by myself now. And now I'm not in the air. I'm on the ground. So a different thing there. But
Yeah.
I'm now pulling this tractor and trailer on my own by myself. It's kind of that feeling. And then the whole landing thing, to me, equates to parking a truck.
Yes.
You know, now I have my trainer here to help me with corrections. And like you said, after a while, just go ahead and park. I'm not going to get out and back you in.
Mm-hmm.
You got to do your thing now. And, you know, into your shift, you got to park that truck. It's a whole different world.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, congratulations. Not trying to take any of your glory away from you, but I'm very proud of you for doing what you're doing. But
I think there's very close similarities.
Sure.
I completely
Yeah.
see it. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And there is that whole like aspect of like you get freedom.
Yep.
But you get responsibility.
you do.
Like they come together.
They do come together.
You don't get one or the other. Like you only have that as a kid. You know what I mean?
Right.
But once you get past that, you get both
Yep.
forever.
Yep.
So
So with your pilot license, is your aspirations purely, you know, just for you? Like you just want to do it, you know, privately, or would you ever think about commercial or anything like that?
yeah, who knows what the future holds? My goal is to get a commercial license. A commercial license does not let you fly an airliner. That's a whole different category. But a commercial license does allow me to fly for hire. Want to get a small plane, a small cargo plane, and haul goods? Then that's an option.
Like furniture.
Like furniture, yeah. If I want to haul furniture, I can. It'd be a very expensive way to haul furniture,
It would be, but you could if you
and
wanted
get there
to.
quick.
Very fast.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
fast. Very fast.
But
yeah.
I mean, like, I think a lot of my attitude towards getting the better endorsements is just more experience. The more experience you can do, just like driving a truck. I mean, there's a reason insurance premiums go down on a 30-year. Someone who's been driving trucks for 30 years versus someone that's brand new. Like that more experience, the more you do, the more endorsements you have, the more stuff you've done, the better, safer you are in theory.
Right.
And I think it's the same way with flying. Like I intend to get my CFI, my to where I can be a flight instructor. I have zero intention of ever being a flight instructor. That does not interest me in the least bit. But I want to go through the training just to get more knowledge, just to get more information, just so I can be a better pilot, right?
Sure.
Like that's
Right.
the idea. Like I
Sure.
want to sharpen my knife as good as I can get it. And it means taking stuff that doesn't necessarily pertain to me, but will give me more knowledge. I just think, especially, I mean, like driving a truck, there's a margin of safety there that is different than when you're in a car. Flying, same thing. There's a margin of error that you have to do your best to mitigate and make as small as you can. And I think all those additional things make it safer.
Yeah.
So that's my goal. What does the future hold? Who knows? Would it be cool to operate an airplane and do a cargo thing? I think so. But that's the 20-year down the road thought. That's not a today thing. That's a way down the road. And who knows if that'll ever even come close to happening. But it'd be cool.
Can I one day drive the tow motor that pushes you out of the hangar?
Well, right now, we just move it by hand. But what if I ever have a plane big enough for that? Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
When you're learning how to fly, you can just push it.
Okay. All right.
They actually, the one I have has a little apparatus. I don't know how to describe it. You attach it to the nose wheel,
Mm-hmm.
and it has two handles. You literally drag it out, so you are the tow. You are the towmobile.
Kind of like a pallet jack, but different.
Yes, very similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just do it yourself, but it's easy. I think you got to remember that huge plane I fly weighs less than your Ford.
Wow.
Like it's all composite.
Wow.
It's super lightweight. So it's you can literally just push it. Kelly saw a picture of me because if you saw the one on Facebook, she saw that. She's like, I didn't think you were in that small of a plane. Like it's pretty petite. It's pretty small. It's a 4-cylinder engine. It's a tiny little thing.
It's like a Honda Accord.
It's basically a
Honda Civic, excuse
I was
me.
gonna say
Honda
a
Civic.
Honda Fit. It's very, very small. I think the whole cabin's 4 foot wide.
Wow.
It's very small.
Wow.
But it's fun. It's really cool. I'm enjoying it.
Is it a
and
2-seater?
It's a 5-seater. I don't know how
Cool.
I don't know how you could fit 5 people in the back or 3 people in the back, but you could fit 4 comfortably. but it's a coupe style, so you got to move the seat forward like a two-door Civic, and
Yeah.
they got to crawl in the back, and it's fun. I enjoy it. I look forward to seeing what the future holds, and maybe one of these days we can go fly somewhere. We'll see. But a lot of people. So solo is, again, like I said, you got to do so many solos before you can actually like go to your next steps in flying, which is flying distance cross country. So now you're flying not just around your airport, but now you're flying far away.
Now, I think when people hear cross country,
Yes,
they're thinking
Nevada.
New York to L.A.
Yes.
You think you described that to us something different than that. Can you help us out with that
50
again?
miles is the FAA's definition of cross country. So you're going at least 50 miles away. So that'd be like flying from here to Cleveland, I guess. Which actually not even as far as Cleveland.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's just you're at that point you're going so far away you're not familiar. If you drew a 50-mile circle around Columbus, there's no way you'd be familiar with all that airspace. So now you got to use charts. You got to plan your trip. You got to have points along the way that you can see to be able to know, am I going the
Okay.
right way? You got to be able to read what's the wind doing to you, so you know how to fly the airplane to make sure you're going the way you want to go. So that's my next phase, is learning how to do all that stuff. I'll do a couple of those trips with my flight instructor, and then I will do a couple of those trips solo as well.
Ooh.
And then after that, I do night. So then we actually have to wait for the sun. We have to wait. The FAA defines night as an hour after the sun's gone down. And now that we're getting into summer
It'll
or
be
spring,
a lot later.
that means it'll be like some 9, 10 o'clock flying for me.
Wow.
But you do have to do so many hours of nighttime flying to be able to get your private pilot's license. They want to make sure no matter what's thrown at you, you're able to get past it. So once you get your private pilot's license, then you can get instrument rated, which means you can fly the airplane in clouds, so you can't even see anything out. You just strictly go off the instruments of your airplane. Even in the private, they teach you some of that stuff just in case you accidentally find yourself in the clouds. Then here's enough stuff to get you out of that situation, right? It's an interesting experience. I've learned a great deal. It's way more involved than I thought it was going to be. Going through it, I understand now why flying is so safe. That's one thing you definitely get is like, they're not joking. When they say safety above everything else,
Right.
there are so many checklists. We talked a couple days ago, over the weekend, we were hanging out, and I ran through some of the just stuff you have to agree to before you even get in the plane. It's a long list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that you have to go over. And again, for us private pilots, we just have to make a mental note and go through it. A commercial pilot has to actually go through and certify that they accomplish all that stuff before they even leave the hotel to go to the airport.
Right.
Like it's a big deal. So
It was interesting that it's not just the safety of the plane or the aircraft, but the safety of you as a person, your personal
psyche,
your well-being as well.
absolutely.
Yeah, it was interesting stuff.
Yeah.
So, at what point do we get to put a GoPro in the plane and watch you fly?
You know, I've got a buddy of mine. He's also getting his pilot's license, and he's done that. He's actually recorded some video of him flying, and he's even had, as a solo, like a student pilot, I can't fly anyone. Like I've never asked y'all to join me in a flight because
Right.
I can't.
Sure.
But if you were to go with me, my CFI could fly us all together, right? And he's done that with some of his family members, but I've not done that because I'm just trying to, like, every minute I can get in a plane, I want to be learning. I don't want to
Right.
go joyriding.
Don't want to waste time with it. Yeah.
But like there's some flexibility there. I just never have done it. I'm not big in showing that side off. Like I don't know if that makes sense. Like
It
I don't
makes
want to
sense, sure.
advertise to the world that I'm in the middle of this. I mean, again, I've been flying about a year now, 50 hours into it. And they do go by the minute. So I mean, 50 hours is 50 legit hours. And most people are just finding out that I've been doing this. Like I just try to keep it a little private, a little close to the vest. Part of that is because I was nervous I wouldn't get through it, and I don't want the embarrassment. But at this point, I want to get through it. But also, like, I don't know, just I want to stay focused and get through it as fast as I can. And the weather up here in Ohio, I didn't realize was going to be such
Oh my
a
goodness.
hindrance.
Yeah.
Especially with the El Nino going on. The El Nino, like, we've had some weird stuff that's happened here where people are getting across the entire, like, I'm a part of a flight school, obviously. Across the entire school, it's less flying than what they normally have because of the weather. So that's kind of been a hindrance.
I know there have been times where weather on the ground's been great, and we were like, "You got canceled?" And you're like, "Yeah, the wind up there is
insane. Yeah,
not good for
Yeah.
flying.
Yeah.
Whereas we don't feel anything down here. So.
yeah.
Interesting.
Our clouds even. I mean, we've had some very comfortable days, but the clouds are at like 1,200 feet as a private pilot or student pilot. They have to be 1,500 feet above the ground. So I've got to be able to fly 1,000 feet above the ground, and then there's got to be 500 feet above me to the clouds. So it's 1,500 feet.
Right.
Well, a beautiful day, but maybe it's cloud overcast day, but
Yeah.
1,200 feet clouds, but the weather's perfect outside of that. I can't fly. So it's been an ongoing process. I will be so happy to get it done, and I can see the light at the end of the
Yeah.
tunnel. I can see the finish line.
It's been fun watching your journey.
You know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about, or I was mentioning just now, y'all being over here this past weekend, and we were just hanging out. So we scheduled conflicts and stuff outside of recording last week. We've just had a hard time all getting together and hanging out. So we was it Saturday y'all came out? Yeah, it was Saturday.
Yeah, it was Saturday.
Saturday, we hung out downstairs. The weather was pretty cold outside, so we weren't able to really enjoy ourselves too much outside. But we rearranged the furniture. We put I have a fireplace. There's a fireplace down here, actually behind the cameras. So as an audience, if you imagine behind you, there's a fireplace. But it is condemned. We can't use it. It's not really condemned. I just can't use it because I need to get one little repair done. And, when you own a house, one little repair could take 10 years to do.
It could.
And so I put the electric fireplace in front of it. And we hung out down here and enjoyed a nice cigar. There's a company out there, a small boutique company called Carnival Cruise Lines. You may have heard of them. I believe they have the fun ships. They sell inside their store on the ship. They sell a cigar that I've not seen anywhere around here, and I like it. So I actually got a couple to bring back so that I could share it with Vince and we could enjoy that because we don't smoke a cigar very often, maybe once a month. Like it's pretty rare.
Yeah.
But this was one that I liked a lot, and I really want to share it. And so we got the chance to try it. I bought this fancy air purifier so that we could enjoy a cigar in here without making the room smell and all that stuff. And it was a great time. And I was like, this is cool. I can do this. And then, the smell will be gone. Well, here we are.
It has lingered.
4 days later. Jerry, what did you notice when you walked down here?
It stinks.
Oh, my gosh. I don't know what's going on. Like, I thought this fancy pants air purifier would actually
Would work.
would work, and it's not at all.
It's not like terrible smelling.
No, it's not like, someone smoking in a truck for months on end and then you
Yeah,
climb
no,
in it
nothing
after
like
they
that.
get out. It's not like that at all.
I smell that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
But it is you definitely notice it when you're used to coming here and smelling nothing and then
Right.
fresh and clean.
Sure.
Yeah.
You definitely notice it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little bummed out about that. And we have, it's been a while, several months ago, we have smoked down here before, again with this purifier,
Yeah.
and the smell went away. I wonder if it's just the cigar brand or the odor that it put out or whatever. It's lingering, and it didn't linger before. So I'm a little bummed out about that. So I guess it's like, all right, no more cigars down here. But
Well, the good thing is it's warming up outside, so we can go back outside and smoke our cigars outside again.
yeah, it is. It is.
But the bad thing is, come October, it's going to be cold outside. We can't do it anymore.
I
You got
know.
a long time till October.
I know, right? I
Yeah.
can't even talk about that right now.
I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
I just
Need-
want the sun
Need
to
to get
come
one of
back
those
out.
pop-up huts, like what Echo Spirit has.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Little clear igloo things.
Yeah.
You sit
Yeah.
outside in the snow and
Yep.
have the heater inside.
Yep.
That'd
Yep.
be cool.
Could have like
People
some little,
look. People
little
look
holes
in.
for it to go out.
No, you got to trap that in.
Yeah.
People,
No, we're
Hot
not.
people
boxes.
look
We're
at.
not hot
You ever
boxes.
been? There's not many airports that do that anymore. But you ever been in one of the airports back in the day that had the glass room in the middle of the hallway and it was for the smokers?
Yeah, I remember
Well, I
that.
think Las Vegas still has one like that, and it's just like a fog
Yeah.
machine inside this glass room.
I used
Ew.
to smoke whenever I was younger in high school, and me and my best friend Missy, I would swing by her house, pick her up in the mornings because I had my license, she didn't, and I'd pick her up, and on the way to school, we would smoke like freight trains, and we would have the windows rolled up, and we would sit in the parking lot of the school and smoke probably 3 or 4 before we ever got out of the car, and then we would open the doors, and it would just come boiling out, and everybody would be looking at us. And
I tried.
That's funny.
I tried so hard, man. I just never could get into smoking. I enjoy a cigar occasionally with like a nice bourbon, but that's it. I don't know. It just doesn't.
That's
Of
okay.
all the, I mean, it's a good habit to not have.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah.
But like of all the bad habits, that was one that I actively pursued, and my body was like, no, we don't like this. So I never
been
got
quit
it.
for many, many years, and I'm thankful I quit.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of those things where like, I get it because you get a little rush, you get a little buzz or whatever, but the amount of information we have today on the health aspect of it, and I got a lot of friends that smoke, and no one's kidding themselves. They just like it, and it's fine. I like my bourbon, and you're not going to tell me not to drink my bourbon. I mean, you like within the perimeters of the law, sure,
Sure.
but
right.
it's like so. I certainly understand that,
Right.
but
Everybody has their vices.
yeah,
Good friend of mine once told me, "We're all going to die of something."
yes, I've
Yeah,
heard that.
Very wise man.
He was a wise man. Yeah.
He is a wise man. He's still with us.
Oh.
You said was.
Well,
He is a wise man.
okay. Well, I'll go with that.
Tread lightly.
Carry a big stick, right?
Oh.
So Melissa, I saw that you had something you want to talk about that's happened over recently.
Yeah, well, while we were having nice sunny weather, the West Coast was having a huge blizzard come across.
From Dairy Queen?
Wouldn't that be nice? I haven't had one in a hot moment.
M&M's. Anyways,
Duet?
M&M blizzards. Oh, they're my favorite. That wasn't Dairy Queen. Was that Dairy Queen? Or
Yeah.
Yeah. Blizzard.
Yeah. So,
Uber
they had
Eats.
noted that there was going to be a big snowstorm and that you should take warning. It was California, Donner's Pass, and a lot of people didn't heed the warning. In fact, it was a 4-day snowstorm.
4 days.
Yes, 4 days of snow, heavy winds. I think I saw somewhere 190 miles per hour at the peak was
Wow.
reported. But heavy wind, heavy snow. More than 100 inches of snow fell in the 4 days. It did end up,
That's over 8 feet.
yeah, it did strand about 200 to 400 trucks or 200 to 300 vehicles. I don't know if did any of you see any photos of it across your
I did.
screen
I
or
did.
anything?
Yeah.
I did see.
Like they were knocking on doors of people where the snow had just piled up, and I'm like, I could see carbon monoxide getting you.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of things like that. But I read articles about, electric vehicles were stranded because they couldn't clear out the charging stations, and they ran out of. There were a couple of autonomous trucks that were going over, like semi trucks.
Wow.
Anyway, huge snowstorm. It didn't help that Caltrans had stated that only 8 of their 30 snowblowers were working during the time. So they posted on X, I guess is what it's called, Twitter. X.
Yeah.
But they posted that only 8 of their 30 snowblowers were working.
Okay.
That's interesting.
But 8 feet.
yeah.
Have you ever seen
In
a
4 days.
Have you ever seen a snowblower with an 8-foot? I mean, like
No.
that's so. I'm 6'3". That's me standing up, 2 foot 1 inches
In 4 days.
higher than me.
Yep. And they also were having because of the wind, there were like 15-foot snow drifts in specific areas.
And to put that
So-
in perspective, again, the trucks are the 18-wheelers that you see across the road are 13.6.
Yeah.
So they're 1.5 to 2 feet
Taller.
over
Yeah.
the 18-wheelers.
Some of those videos and stuff that I was watching, the snow was literally piled up on the sides of their trucks, over their hoods, and then like halfway up their like
Windshield?
driver's window and
Yeah.
windshield. I mean, and we're not just talking blowing snow; like it had snowed completely up because they were
Right.
stranded.
I saw where they had one of those back end loaders or an excavator,
Yeah,
and it was like just digging snow out so people could open their door.
yeah.
Wow.
So I learned Well, I have two comments, I guess, kind of on it because it really amazed me. How people don't heed the warning of a huge snowstorm, and not just truckers, but car drivers as well. And I get that's up to Lake Tahoe and all of that, and people going back to California or whatever. But how do you not heed a warning like that? Like snowstorms coming, huge, big blizzard. Like here in Ohio, I saw people.
I think part of that is people get complacent or
Desensitized.
desensitized. Thank you, to the news, because they hear all the stuff on the news, and especially in Southern California, at least, when you hear about a snowstorm or a rainstorm, if it rains in a half an inch, it's Storm Watch 2024. Seriously, that's what it is. And all the news channels are out, and they're in their NBC4 rain slickers and stuff with their umbrellas, and it's a storm, and
Right.
it's
but your river fills
you're
up
not
when you
used
do
to
that.
it. The river does fill up, yeah. But I think that's part of it. People are desensitized to it. Or if you're traveling, Donner Pass sits between Sacramento, really, and Reno, Nevada.
Right.
So if you're traveling across I-80, even if you're not going between those two cities, you're just traveling across I-80 and you're not familiar with Donner Pass and the weather on Donner Pass
Right.
and how treacherous it can be when it does snow or rain,
Yeah.
then you're not thinking about it. And it's like, oh, yeah, it's not going to be a big deal. It's a big deal. It truly is a big deal up there.
Yeah.
And let's also look at the fact that you have weathermen are not always correct.
That's true.
A lot of people,
Yeah.
my grandmother always told me growing up, if you lie a lot when you're a kid, you're going to grow up to be a weatherman. And I remember living in North Carolina in the mountains, the blizzard of '93. All week long, they kept saying, "Oh, we're going to see, a half inch to an inch of snow." We ended up getting 3.5 feet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Wow.
Wow.
Well, and that's happened here. I mean, like not to that extent.
No, but it happened
thankfully,
here a couple
but
weeks ago.
a couple weeks ago they
Yeah.
said half an inch to an inch of snow,
Mhm.
and we got 4.5 inches of snow,
Yeah.
not feet, but inches.
Sure.
But still, they're not always right. I mean, like, look, you from Florida, like
Yeah.
you're from Louisiana. I've been to a hurricane party.
Right.
Hurricane's coming. Take shelter. All right, let's go party. Like,
Right.
get the music set up. Back then
Yeah.
it was we were listening to the radio station. There was that's all we did. We were doing CDs because you remember CD, you got to constantly change it out or whatever.
Yeah.
We had the radio station going, 102.5, I think it was, WFMF, right, Eric? I think that was the station. Anyways, and yeah, I mean, like a hurricane's coming.
Yeah.
I've been through many, many hurricanes, and they all sucked. Every single one of them sucked. But there's level of suckness, right? There is like the power's going to be down for 6-8 hours.
Right.
Woo! Let's go party, right? Then there's the like
Got enough D-cell batteries?
exactly, yeah, D-cell batteries are like I don't even know if they make them anymore. That you used to be able to buy them at Walmart. You maybe still can. I don't know. But they were the lamps, and you put the oil in them,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
then they
yeah.
had like the wick was flat,
Uh-huh.
it almost like a piece of
A
elastic.
kerosene lamp.
Yeah, and you would have those around the house. Like we had 6 of those at our house.
I got to tell you something. I realize you're telling a story here, but I got to tell you something. When my parents brought home the first kerosene lamp and we had light in the house for the first time, when I was probably 10, 11 years old, that was amazing. And this electricity thing y'all have now, I mean, come
What?
on. You're so
well,
lucky. But
that
yeah,
was
when
certainly you had
when-
wax candles.
when I could sit and read my
King
my
James Bible.
stone carvings at night by the lamplight.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it's game changer.
Whatever.
No,
Game changer.
we had so like not to brag, we had a portable television.
Oh
So it was this big,
yeah.
and it had an AM/FM radio with a weather band, and it took like 16 D-cell batteries.
Yeah. So that was
Today you couldn't afford to operate it.
The screen was this big,
Yeah,
but the TV set itself was probably this
it
wide
was this
and pretty long.
yeah, it was probably
I remember seeing those.
16 inches wide, about 5,
Yeah.
6 inches tall.
with a 3.5
and like
inch diagonal screen.
Yes, and it was a CRT. It wasn't actual. It wasn't like because I remember when I was a kid, you had the Game Boy that came out, and about the
Right.
same size as the Game Boy, you had a portable television.
Right.
Remember those? They had a little LCD screen on them.
Yeah.
I had one. I got I thought I was the king of the hill. I brought it to school, and the teacher took it away and gave it to my parents, and I never saw it again. Apparently, you can't watch TV and go to school. No, this was an actual CRT black and white television, and when we weren't using it for like a hurricane, it sat on top of the refrigerator, and if we were really good, like really good, when we were eating dinner, we could turn like
Wow.
I'm trying to think what it even would have been back then, like Murder She Wrote, I guess. If we could watch Murder She Wrote while we're eating, again, black and white TV,
Yeah.
the 4-inch diagonal TV, yeah.
Wow.
But that was our hurricane thing, and if power was really bad out, if the city really got hit, like I lived through Hurricane Andrew, so for Hurricane Andrew, we didn't even watch the TV part. We only did the radio because the
Save batteries. Yeah.
because we didn't know when the electricity
Wow.
was going to
Makes
come back
sense.
on.
I used to work at a sharper image store, and we used to sell the hand crank
Yeah.
radios. They had the hand crank on them
Yeah.
and the little solar panel on top as well.
We
Those things work pretty well.
We talked about I remember talking to Dad long time ago about we were thinking about buying one of the hand crank ones. They didn't have a solar panel on it. That was newfangled technology, but it had the hand crank.
Sharper image. I mean,
And we didn't afford that. We were like
You
Radio
know,
Shack.
I know this is going to take us way off of what we plan on talking about, but I've been seeing a lot lately where, you can buy the little battery packs to charge your phone with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Tesla has like the home battery system. A lot of those companies, like Anchor, I know, makes a home battery pack that you can install as an emergency generator, but it's not
Yeah.
really a generator, it's just a battery pack that you actually wire into your house as emergency power. They can run off solar, they can just charge from the grid. There's some pretty cool improvements or advancements, I should say, on electricity and emergency power these days.
Electric cars. The
Electric cars.
Ford F-150 Lightning.
Yeah.
You can plug it in, plug
Yep.
it into your house,
Sure.
and power your whole house for like
Yep.
2 days.
Wow,
It's
really?
pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty cool
I
stuff
was
out there.
today years old. Back to the weather really quick.
Sure.
I was today years old. About how Donner Summit got its name. Do y'all know how it got its name?
Are you referring to the dinner party?
Yeah, but so I know about the joke, right? Don't we all? We know the
Yeah.
joke. Who knows how we know about the joke?
Donner Party 13?
Yeah. So I didn't realize
Yes, and
it's
we're
because
hungry.
there were people, settlers going from point A to point B, and they got stuck there in Donner Pass at Donner Lake. And when winter hit, there were 81 of them to begin with, and by the end of winter, there were not that many people left. In fact, there were 15 who made it out by the end of winter. And unfortunately, as most people know, they resulted in cannibalism. But growing up, you know the jokes, but I guess I never really realized those jokes stemmed from
Right.
that story. And
Yeah.
then Donner Pass also is named that as well. So
Well-
I learned that today when looking for weather information about the blizzard.
And it wasn't exactly where the pass is, right? Like you're not driving over their walking grounds. I think it is down
Yeah, it's
closer
more
to
at
the lake. Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
I can't imagine. I mean, can you imagine like just period living back then?
Oh no,
Yeah.
you're
To
talking
go from-
1846.
To go from New York
Yeah.
to California, we're gonna do this. I mean, that's gold. That's gold.
Gold rush.
Gold rush. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna go out there. We're either gonna dig for gold or we're gonna support that business, right? San Francisco's a town. It's nothing.
Right.
It's the same reason why so many people got caught up this time. You left town, New York, hoping to beat the winter storms.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, people I think left Reno or they left San Francisco or Oakland or wherever, Sacramento, hoping to beat the storm. I bet there's a lot of people
To
that
beat
said
winter. Yeah.
that said, "Hurry up, we got to beat the storm. We got to
Sure.
get through it." And they got up there and found out,
Too
nope,
late.
we can't beat it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they probably parked and thinking we're gonna have to ride this thing out, not realizing it's gonna bring.
Yeah. 8
What it
feet of
brought.
snow.
Yeah, I mean, like again, I've sat through those hurricane parties. I've experienced that. There are people in New Orleans having hurricane parties during Katrina. I also lived in Louisiana for Katrina, but I lived not in New Orleans, so it didn't affect me the way it affected a lot of people down there. But they were, thinking this could be another hurricane. Let's get some beer and let's do a turkey fry. Let's, you know what I mean? Like,
Laissez les bon temps rouler.
absolutely. Let the good times roll. Like it was like let's have
Conversationally.
a lot of fun. Let's make this thing
Yeah.
happen. And one thing led to another, and I don't know. I can easily see it. The other day, y'all had last episode we talked about the tornado that came through, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I was out of town, but Eric was in Columbus, and you didn't even hear the alarms go off, right?
No.
Like,
Yeah,
I
either I
think,
was in deep sleep or something was making more noise than it.
yeah, like I just don't think you get desensitized, you
Yeah,
know,
I
and
get it.
it's just it's an unfortunate thing. It said that the murder of 2 Native Americans.
Oh, I know. I saw that.
What was that about?
Well, maybe they were nearby and they also needed more food.
They
I
were
don't
like
know.
they look tasty.
Yeah,
They were looked like they were
History.com. I'd
pre-cooked.
have to go finish reading that story. I just took down some couple notes.
Okay. Well, that's fascinating. I did see the article, or not the article. I saw the news
I saw
headlines.
lots of
I didn't
news.
read about it.
Yeah.
I did see the excavator digging the trucks out, but I
Yeah.
didn't really know
Yeah.
more than that. But 190 miles an hour. Can you imagine that cold, all that wind, and 190 mile an hour? I mean, just
No,
No, thank you.
no.
I think it happened so fast.
Yeah.
You know, and then true blizzard conditions.
So
Just stranded people.
did you have any of those blizzard conditions when you lived in Oregon?
We had heavy snows. You know.
Yeah.
Um.
But true blizzards are y'all too far west for that.
Growing up as a child living in Central Oregon, I remember very heavy snows, very frigid temperatures. I don't know about a blizzard per
Mhm.
se.
Well, what is a
Um,
blizzard, though? I mean, how do you define what a blizzard
I think kind of a
is?
whiteout where you can't
Okay.
quite
Yeah.
see
All right.
because the snow's blowing and falling
I was
and
about
all
to
of
say,
that.
I think the wind has to be like above 60 miles an hour
Okay.
or something.
And
Yeah.
I do think mountains when I think blizzard.
And here in the east, I think they call it more of a snow squall, similar, but snow squall is the straight line winds. So where the
Oh, yeah.
winds pick up the snow over on the side of the road and then blow it at the same time as it's falling.
Yeah.
So those are more of a snow squall, similar. We got heavy snows. I grew up with it. You just got out, you shoveled it, you plowed it, you did, you know, you were shoveling it off your roof so your roof wouldn't cave in. Most roofs were very steeply pitched and they were made of aluminum so it would slide off naturally because the heat source was wood fire. So it just was part of. I do think though as I got older the winters got less severe. And I
Milder.
don't know
Mm.
what that has to do with,
Interesting.
but I, you know, as a middle schooler I remember large amounts of snow and maybe graduating or even a young adult when I still live there much less snow.
Well,
So maybe
I was laughing
maybe-
just now because I got down the rabbit hole on YouTube a couple weeks ago of guys were reviewing tools that they used to clear the snow off their roof.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
I didn't even think that was a thing.
Yep.
I grew up in Los Angeles.
Sure.
You know,
How often did y'all get snow?
once as a kid growing up, and it didn't stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I mean, but I just those things that you just aren't aware of. So I was laughing about that
The kids used to sled off the roof onto the snow pile
because it was
that-
so high.
because it was so high.
Yeah.
So, well, where it fell off and met
Right. The
just
ground.
the eave
yeah.
or whatever, the
Mhm.
ground, it just kept sliding off and sliding off over the snowstorms. So eventually at some point during winter,
They touched.
they touched.
It's awesome.
So they would
Yeah.
just,
Well, that's like as a kid. I remember in elementary school and maybe middle school. We're talking about buildings and architecture, but very high level, like not anything crazy. And I remember them talking about like homes in Louisiana have a very mild pitch to their roof because all we're really concerned with is getting water off as fast as possible, but we're not really concerned about snow or ice. And the more you pitch it up, the more expensive it gets
right.
to re-roof, to build in the first place, all that stuff. So they got a okay pitch, but nothing crazy because, again, we're only concerned about water. And they talked about how, like, in Colorado in the mountains and stuff, you get the chalet with the very steep pitch and all
Mhm.
that stuff. And then they talked about, like, when you're out in New Mexico and Santa Fe and out in Arizona and stuff, they have no pitch at all. They do get snow and they do get cold, but they get so little of it that there's no reason to worry about it quickly excavating the,
Right.
the
Right.
roof or anything like that. They build the roof strong enough to hold what it holds. And the sun evaporates that snow so fast because there's no mountains, there's no shadows. And that's kind of why you see like different roof designs
Roof
across
designs.
the
That's
country.
pretty cool.
So much of it is practical. It's not so much that it's like, well, this is how we've always done it and this is the trend. a lot of it is just like, well, no, this is what's required due to snow load or due
Sure.
to ice load or due to winds. And again, that's the other thing. Out in the desert, you get those super strong winds that come through there. If you have a real pitched roof, you'll rip shingles off
Oh,
in a
yeah.
windstorm.
Yeah.
So nobody wants that. So
Right.
you kind of build for what you've got, and it was really fascinating. I've wondered that. My house has a very, 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 very steep pitch for the area. Most houses are not as steeply pitched as ours is. We don't get any snow accumulating on the roof at all. It all comes off pretty fast. And when I had to have this roof replaced, it was stout because of the pitch. Yeah,
And
but
we- And we have a lot of angles.
and we have a lot of angles, and I've worried about, because it is such a steep pitch, enough wind, because we get some. We're Midwest. We get
Oh, yeah,
enough.
we get some good winds.
We get some good winds through here. I've wondered about, like, man, hit that shingle just right and just rip a whole patch out.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I have worried about that. Now that we've been through a couple summers, I know that tar and those asphalt shingles is really turned to glue, and
Oh,
I think
yeah.
I think it's fine by now. But at first, when we replaced it, I'm like, oh boy, I could see a good windstorm coming through and just ripping them right up. Someone posted on here something about the Pennsylvania cameras with speed mounted cameras on a vehicle. I don't know who posted that. I saw this on a group for Panther. I think it was Panther. No, it wasn't actually. You know what it was? It was a group for Airstreams. Those of y'all don't know.
Panther, Airstream, very similar.
I'm a big fan of Airstream motorhomes. I think they're really cool. But I did see one there. They were talking about, like, be careful if you get to Pennsylvania. So I don't know who got the article, but I didn't see anything more in the headline. But I'm fascinated by vehicles with speed cameras.
So it was me. So in construction zones, and Pennsylvania has already piloted this back in 2022. That was a 5-year pilot program. So they're going to have vehicles stationed in construction zones.
Okay.
They're only going to be active when construction workers are present, and they're going to be citing people for traveling 11 miles an hour over the posted speed limit.
Boy, that's generous.
I know, I was
the
like,
first one, yeah, it is very generous. The first violation will be a warning, and then it's $75 for the second offense and $150 for the third and subsequent offenses. The speed violations will be civil penalties only, and no points will be assessed on a driver's license. Now,
Yes, I know where you're
that
going with
being
this.
said,
I can already feel where you're going with
right?
this.
If you're in a commercial vehicle and that vehicle is registered to the carrier and not to you personally, well, the citation is going to be sent to the carrier because they're the ones that are registered with
The
There-
DMV.
the DMV, right, with that vehicle. So they're going to get the citation. It's going to have the license, the tag number. They're going to go in their system and pull the tag number, and they're going to go in their ELD system and say who was driving the truck that day.
Yep.
And they're going to forward that citation to you. That being said, they will also be able to look at that and put that on your record potentially with the carrier, even though it won't be on your MVR,
License. Yeah,
motor
MVR.
vehicle record, as a moving violation. They will know, and they will have a record of that citation.
So some carriers, like I know FedEx Custom Critical does this. If you get a warning for a speed, that's as good as gold for them for as a citation.
Sure.
And we actually tell people, like, and we should talk about this in a future episode. If you get pulled over by a cop and they're like, I'm going to give you a warning, but they give you a written warning, then that's worse than getting a speeding ticket. And FedEx Custom Critical considers that the equivalent of a speeding ticket. And so if you get a 16-mile-an-hour speed limit or speeding warning, it didn't matter if the cop let you off.
Right.
You're gone.
Yeah.
Like, that's over their threshold. It's a zero tolerance, and you're gone. Panther, I'm going to try and say this nicely. They're a little more accommodating if it's your first offense, within reason,
Right.
but they still reserve the right to treat it as
Sure.
such.
Yeah.
So if you're a brand new driver, or I'm sorry, not brand new, if you've been driving for 40 years and this is the first thing you've ever gotten your record with Panther, they will weigh it against how you operate. Are you safe? How, all your PSP, how all your roadside
Both sides.
inspections, everything. Also a little situational, like is it a quick drop, yada yada. They look at the whole picture and then make a judgment. But FedEx is very black and white, like period, you're over it. And if you get a second time with Panther, bye, you're gone. Even though you got 2 warnings and you're like, but they're not violations.
Right. No.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't
It's
matter.
a violation against the carriers. And a lot of that's
Right.
insurance, a lot of that's safeguarding the carrier. So it does matter. That's a huge deal. And
Sure.
I tell you, I just did we talked 3, 4, 5 weeks ago about Eric and I having to run out to Pennsylvania
Yeah.
and grab a truck and bring it back. And that turnpike is full of construction. I mean, like a lot of it's nice. Holy cow. From when Eric and I were driving back in the day, and that road was brutal. Man, you remember that, Jerry? Like it was rough. Like
Very.
the turnpike was the worst road you could take. I would jump up to 80, right?
Mhm.
All the time because 80 was such a better road. But now the turnpike is really nice. It is so smooth. They have really turned that around, but there's still a lot of sections that are under construction. So, yeah, I think this is huge.
I feel like the 11 is too generous, in my opinion. Being a fellow driver out on the road.
the
and
11 with a warning is super generous.
And I thought
Yes,
the
very.
citation fees were not strong enough. I'm sorry. I want people to be punished.
no,
There's no reason to be driving so fast through a construction zone where things get narrow. You have to pick a side to drive on. Maybe it's not the side that you normally drive on. You know, the K rail's like right there.
it is
mean,
right
there's-
there on the turnpike.
And there's no reason to drive that fast. How about the workers? The actual why would you want to I always drove very slow, even slowed it even further down if I saw people and if I wasn't able to move over. I mean, I don't understand why you would take risks to drive 11 miles over.
So they're saying that they did a 5-year pilot program. In that 5-year program, they collected some $7 million in fines as part of that pilot program.
Nice.
Okay.
Wow.
They're also saying that there was evidence that this program reduced the incidence of speeding, that only 17% of people who received that first warning were repeat offenders.
I can see that.
I still agree with you that 11 mile an hour is very generous. That's pretty. If you're already reducing speeds in a speed zone, and people are going that fast above the speed limit, that's still pretty dangerous, I think. But it looks like it's working.
I know when we're gonna go way back. We're gonna go like 2009, 8, 9, something like that. I worked at a bank, and it was pretty far away from my house, probably 30-minute drive. And it was all interstate. It turned into highway. So, have you ever been on one of those? It's an interstate, and then interstate ends, highway
Yeah.
begins. And right there, people would always just maintain the interstate speed through the
Sure.
highway instead of slowing down. And so they would, as soon as you crossed into one town, they always had it was a trailer. Always had a trailer right there with the speed camera. And I got popped like twice for speeding back then. And same thing, civil fee, different one on my license. Nobody's the wiser in my personal vehicle. And I had to pay the fine. Both times I was fined. There was no warning. I paid the fine twice. And upon the second fine, I never did it again. Like, ever. Even if I went back today, I would slow down.
Still know right where that's at.
I know right where it's at. I would slow down.
Yep.
I would, now granted, that's not a construction zone. That's a fixed
Sure.
area, but and those fines weren't high. I don't think they were $75, but I think they were like $110 a piece.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, most people, you dig in their pockets, $75,
Oh, yeah.
$100.
Yeah.
I don't agree with the warning. I mean, I know they're saying it has some effect, but again, I agree with Melissa. If you're speeding that fast through a construction zone, your warning was the sign leading up to the
Yeah.
construction zone. It wasn't after you got popped with it.
Right.
There are so many between construction zones and wreckers or tow trucks. There's so many fatalities
So
a
many.
year. I'm sorry, I don't know that you get a warning. I think at that point, if you're going to speed through those areas, just like
11
I feel the same
over?
way about school zones.
Yeah.
Oh,
If you're
yeah.
gonna speed those areas,
Yeah.
you got to pay it. You got to be slapped on the wrist. It can't
Yeah.
be a warning. I'm curious how many of those we get to pass on to our people. But something that's a little more time pressing. Who is the I-55 Mississippi River Bridge?
That'd be me again too.
Okay, this one's really interesting to me because since I've been driving, this is the third time it's been closed. So
Really?
please tell what's up with it.
So
Because the
I-55,
I'm sorry, the second time. The other one was I-40.
I-40,
Sorry,
yeah.
but
So
but I-55 was closed at least twice, or at least once other time.
I-55 across Mississippi River, which is on the Arkansas
Memphis, Tennessee.
Tennessee border, right outside of Memphis, is going to be closed coming tomorrow, starting tomorrow, Sunday, March 10th. I don't know my days. For 2 weeks, they're going to close that bridge.
Wow.
I mean, you mentioned the 40 being closed. A couple years ago, the 40 was closed, and they found that it was falling down, basically, and that caused a huge
There was a beam
mess.
that was cracked.
So a beam that was
not
cracked.
not even like oh, there's a little crack in it.
No, it
Like-
wasn't not connected.
It was not connected.
Yeah,
It could just move.
exactly. So it was
I do
closed
remember
down
that.
It's
for
crazy.
a couple of months, I think. I forget what the time frame was, and it caused a huge mess going
Oh, yeah.
anywhere east or west across I-40 because the route arounds were not designed to handle that much traffic.
Yeah.
And we did our best. I think we avoided that area the whole time we were on the road when it was closed.
Yeah.
We made
If you're
we
going,
made our turns north and south
Yeah,
way beforehand.
if
we
you're
could.
going long distance across,
Oh,
there's a
sure.
few different options.
Two different options, yeah. But if you're right there in town,
If you're in
so-
Little Rock to Nashville, sorry.
yeah, I don't think that it's going to cause as much of a mess as I-40 did. I mean,
I
I-40
agree.
and I-55 are right there.
Yeah, they're right
That
next to each
you
other.
can see them from each other,
Yeah.
right? But I-40 is the much more traveled of those highways.
I agree.
think it'll cause a lot of traffic if you're going locally in that area. But just getting across, I think, will be a lot better. It won't be quite as bad as
I think.
I-40.
I think. Oh man, I might get persecuted on this one. I think 40 is 3 lanes, and I-55 is 2.
I think you're correct. Yeah.
And most
Yeah.
people don't use I-55. I-55 is a single lane to get on the bridge. I think it's at that cloverleaf. I think it's a single lane. It might be
I-55 is weird because it does have.
like it's almost like you don't. It's a weird intersection.
It's a very weird intersection
because it's almost like you're not even like you're changing interstates altogether, but you're not. You're actually staying on.
but you're
55.
changing directions.
You're changing. Yes.
So 55 splits off east of west of the Mississippi,
it's a hard left,
Well,
but you actually make a right
prior
to
to
get on
that-
there. Yes.
west of the Mississippi. I-55 and I-40 split.
Yes.
I-55 continues going southeast, but not very. It's mostly east and not quite south
Yeah.
until you cross the river, and then it's a hard right to go due south
Yeah.
on 55. So if you're making that transition and they're going south, yes, you're dealing with I-55, but you can still make that from I-40.
Yeah.
It's just a little further east than you'd normally go.
And real quick, a point of context. If you're like, hey, I'm thinking about being a driver, I'm not, or even if you're not, you just want to listen to us for fun. The interstate system works where the 10s, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, going across America, go east and west. The 5s, so 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 50, all the way to 95, they go north-south. So,
I'm gonna break that down a little further.
okay.
Odd numbers, north-south. Even numbers, east-west.
Yes, but it gets. The only reason I don't use that is it gets confusing with loops when you get to triple digits and stuff. That's
a whole
why I like.
different piece of
That's
it.
why I like to say, in general, if you're going east or west across the country, it ends in a 0. If you're going north south, it ends in a 5 on a major interstate.
I-8's
Then
not
there's-
major.
Then there's loops and spurs. Then there's what's the other one? Eric, loop spurs.
You got 7s in there somewhere, like I-57 or
Yeah, there's those. I-59 is a big interstate
There
in
you go.
Louisiana. Like there's
44.
71.
yes. So there's a ton of rules, but in
14.
general, if you're on a 0, you're going east or west. If you're on a 5, you're going north south. So
Yes.
that's why when you get to Memphis and you have like, why are these roads both going east and west? And at some
Right.
point, why is 40 going north and south when
Yeah.
it should?
But
Like
it shouldn't. Sure.
there are areas where it goes around a town or geologically it has to change.
Right.
But yeah, so 55 it does that weird. It almost it's like it shouldn't be there. It's
like it
very
shouldn't.
strange.
It's like it shouldn't. It's like it should almost be an interchange just to go 55 south and not take that little lit. But if you think about it, you do have 55 north of I-40.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just continuation of 55
It
where
is.
it comes down. It jogs east a little bit. It was easier and a little less traffic congestion to have that little bit extra 55 off of I-40 and not make it just part of I-40. So it kind of makes sense.
Well, and it's older. I-55.
It is older. Yeah.
I-55 through Memphis is a much older bridge
Sure.
than I-40 is.
Yeah.
And it's just south of town. You could tell at one point it was like the main thoroughfare,
can.
and then town was built north
Yeah.
of it. And I-40 actually kind of it cuts through Memphis in a weird way.
It does.
Where really north of I-40 you have nothing but the hospital, St. Jude, and you have the pyramid, and that's it.
That's it.
Outside of that,
all
there's
you
nothing
got.
else there. It really
Yeah.
killed commerce and boxed in downtown Memphis, which, you know, like Eric really more than me, but he's opened my eyes to a lot of this of like bad civil engineering. And a lot of interstates are bad civil engineering. A lot of them really screwed over towns and really messed up urban areas and created suburban issues.
Sure.
It's very fascinating to see.
Sure.
And Memphis is one of those where they do that. But again, 55 is much older. It's much smaller. I do agree with you. It's way less trafficked than 40. So now I don't think it'd be as big of a deal as when 40 shut down. But it's definitely it is going to cause more congestion.
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
if you took,
Sure it will.
even though it's less, if you take all that and put it on 40,
Right. You're still adding to 40.
and the
those
bad
interchanges as well.
and the thing I worry about is you have a fender bender on 40.
yeah.
Then what? You
You don't
shut the
have- you don't
whole
have that
interstate
alternate.
down.
Yeah.
Like it really
You're really rerouting.
yeah.
Ferries across the river. Just kidding.
It's been it's funny down in Louisiana we had a ferry between Plaquemine and Baton Rouge, and because the Mississippi River is so curvy, it really wasn't that far from the Baton Rouge side on the ferry. But if you were on the Plaquemine side, it added like an hour to your commute because you had to go all the way around the river to get to Baton Rouge. So that little ferry, it stays busy, and to this day, it's free one direction. It's a little bit of toll money the other direction or something like that.
Wow.
But it's yeah.
Worth it.
It's yeah, absolutely. There were many times I was working down there doing gigs or whatever, and was like, yeah, we're taking the ferry across.
My cousin sent me a video. She lives in the Pacific Northwest, the one I just went and saw Madonna with, and she sent a video, and it was a ferry up there, and it was taking on water, so like the cars were getting flooded because it's open to the elements.
Right.
Oh yeah.
But the waters
sure.
were so choppy. The water was coming in, and it was coming up the side of the doors of all the cars. It was going up the stairs to where the
Wow.
people were sitting. And I would assume that your car got ruined, but
So you're
the whole ferry's just taking on water.
just hoping for good seals on the doors.
Yeah.
I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that would be scary.
Well, that was what was so funny about our experience in Seattle, and also Eric and I experienced this when we were driving truck in
Prince Edward Island?
to
Prince Edward Island.
from Halifax area, Sydney, Nova Scotia, from Nova Scotia, and Mississippi River Ferry is a flat barge, and on the left hand side is like a little bitty tiny cabin, with like one pilot,
Right.
and he can drive across river and right back, and it's just a flat. You just pull on it like you're on a parking lot basically, and that's it. You go across. We do the Pacific Northwest thing. I'm sorry, the Prince Edward Island thing, and it's a ferry, and we're like, all right, we have idea what that is. No, this ship.
Yeah.
It's not a barge anymore. This ship, we drive into the belly of it
Wow.
with our commercial truck, reefer running the whole 9 yards, and we park in that thing, and they force us to leave. You can't hang out in that area. So we had to leave and then go upstairs and like sit in a whole other area while we made that commute across the channel. And the same thing happened back in Seattle, where they were like, you can't hang out with your car. You got to leave this area and go sit up here. And it was like, holy cow. Like, I'm just used to a flat little barge for a ferry. This was intense.
That's cool that you took the truck. You took the truck on a ferry.
Yeah. Oh,
That ferry had a restaurant upstairs.
it did. And it introduced us to what?
Lobster?
Lobster rolls.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yep.
Cool.
It was so good.
So how long was that ferry trip? They had a restaurant and you had to park in it.
75 minutes, I want to say.
Okay.
Just over an hour.
So not some of these hours-long ferries.
No,
Okay.
we've got friends that did the
You've got friends.
in low places. They did the ferry from Seattle to like Juneau or something, and that's like a 3 or 4 day ferry.
Yeah.
You get a cabin
With the truck?
Yeah.
With the semi-truck.
It's a way of commercial vehicles getting to Alaska without having to go through Canada.
Well, you can do it all the way to Alaska. I mean, all the way to Anchorage, but like Juneau, there is no road to get there. That is the only option.
Taking a ferry. That's pretty cool.
Ketchikan, those areas, like it's
How many
a ferry
trucks
there.
have done that, or how many teams are you aware of that have taken a ferry with a truck? Quite a few?
No, I think very few. Did you ever do it, Jerry?
No, going to Alaska, I actually went up through Canada and
Yeah.
But were you ever in a situation to put your truck on a ferry?
no.
I think we could have that one time.
Right to Hawaii?
Yeah, the ferry to Hawaii.
Yep.
Yep.
That was a Norwegian cruise line right now.
We made that delivery in Washington, in Seattle, or near Seattle, the backside of the music festival we
Yes.
went to,
Yes.
where David took the ferry from Whidbey Island
Yep.
to meet
get
us.
to us
But I think we could have taken a ferry across there.
with the semi-truck.
I think so, yeah.
Huh.
When we didn't look into it, we had plenty of time on the load. We got there with plenty of
Sure.
time. We
Sure.
took our time, and we were on the west side of the Sound,
Right.
and so you had to come way down around to get out. But I think we could have it on that trip. We just didn't look into it. We had time.
We were new, too. Newish.
We were relatively new, yeah.
Wow.
So
That would have been
it's-
kind of cool to do.
Instead, they took the long and winding road.
We
It was
did.
beautiful.
We did. We got paid for every single mile too.
That's nice.
Thank
isn't
you
it?
very much.
Yeah.
I'm sure we could have 1,000,001 truck stories about
Oh,
what we all
yeah,
did,
I'm
but let's
sure.
get to your weigh-in.
Yes.
Do we have to? I've been trying to avoid that the whole night. 276.9 pounds. So that I believe is the lowest it's been yet, barely. Like we talked about last week, I got a little off plan. Went through some emotional stuff and went through some just stress and everything else, and got a little cray-cray. But I got back on plan and got back on the rails. I thought
Good.
I was doing really good,
Good.
and then I made a mistake, but it was like an unconscious mistake. I don't know if that makes sense. I made a chili.
Oh,
Our
yeah.
good friends down in Georgia, Kelly and Jimmy, they made a chili one night, and they were telling me that it had been the slow cooker all day, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, oh, you know what? Back in 2016, 17, I made a chili that was really good, and it shocked me. I was surprised how good it was. I wonder if I still have that recipe. So I called Eric, and I was like, hey, do we have this recipe? Yada, yada. Sure enough, we do. Found it. Sent me the ingredients. I went to the store, bought everything, went back to the house, started making it. And as I was making it, I was like, oh, this would be good over Tostitos. No, not Tostitos.
Scoops.
Fritos
Yeah.
scoops with some sour cream and some cheese and everything. So I just Instacarted Fritos, and again, not thinking, just like doing.
Right.
Wasn't even processing what I was doing at the time. And so I made a beautiful Frito chili cheese pie. I shared it with everybody. I was so happy
It
with
was
it.
looked
It
tasty.
looked beautiful. And then the next day, y'all came over and
Yeah.
we hung out, and then we had Frito chili cheese pie that night. And then the next day, I had it again. But overall, I was doing pretty good. I wasn't eating anything crazy or whatever. And I was like, why am I not losing weight?
Scoops.
And it was like, did the scoops really have that many carbs? So I looked on the
Carbs, yeah.
bag,
Corn.
and yeah, they're not good for you at all. Like, period. I mean, I guess I knew it, but I was like a little bit in denial, like, oh, this won't hurt. I'm doing good elsewhere. It hurts when you're doing low carb. Man, just smelling carbs hurts. So that it didn't set me back. It just stopped
Right.
me. Does
Right.
that make
Yeah,
sense?
it does.
I wasn't eating enough carbs to really hurt me, but I was eating enough carbs to where the weight loss was like
Just kind of put
You're-
a pause on it.
you're maintaining the amount of carbs you're putting in your body is maintaining your physical level of exercise of work. So you're not losing weight, but you're not gaining weight. So as soon as that was over with, as soon as Chili Gate was over, and I went back to just a normal diet, it started coming back down again. But I've been doing Optavia outside of that, which brings us to Optavia Feeling of the Week, which is, speaking of, good pick, Eric, red bean and vegetable chili mix. This one
That's
is,
funny.
I really like this one a lot. I think you've hacked this one, haven't you? Or is this one you've hacked back in the day or no?
Yes.
Okay.
So I like to soak it
Yes.
so the beans get soft. So if I know I want it for lunch, I'll start soaking it in the morning so the beans get a little softer.
Yes. It's got really good flavor.
Yeah.
They actually do, it's actually got
Sriracha.
a really good flavor. You add sriracha?
I like a little. I like a little kick and a little garlic. So just
would be-
enough,
yeah.
but that kind of zhuzhes it up a little bit.
Sriracha's really very good.
Very minimal
It's-
in your
yeah.
caloric intake.
But it's got a really great flavor. I really like it a lot. I don't ever have the forethought for that. I just grab it and throw it and microwave it. And the beans do come out a little hard
Yep.
because they're dehydrated.
they
they're
are.
they're actual beans. They're just dehydrated.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you have to rehydrate them. And if you're about beans from the store to make kidney beans or,
You
or
have to
white beans, something you
soak 'em.
gotta soak them.
Yeah.
And so I like that idea. Dad did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
He soaked them, and so I one of these days I'll try that. But outside of that, the flavor of this is outstanding.
Yeah, they're really
It's
Here's the thought.
yes,
You mentioned the other day when you do your pudding,
I do.
you have your meal, your lean and green,
I
and
do.
when you're doing your dishes, you mix your pudding up, you put it in the fridge, and 2.5 hours later,
It'll be ready to go.
I've got my pudding. With this, and I know it's harder with your schedule if you're not here. If you know you're going to be home at lunchtime,
But I'm here enough. Yeah.
right? If you know you're going to be home 2.5 hours after your fueling, excuse me, you finish, you do your dishes or whatever you have to do, soak that, put it in the fridge, and then when you're ready for your fueling, it's soaked, ready to go.
I
So
guess-
again, a little foresight, but just like your pudding,
I guess my question is 2.5 hours enough time to rehydrate?
it's
Or
better
Yes.
than nothing.
okay.
Yes, it does help a lot.
Yeah,
All right, I'll try that.
Yep.
And I like your sriracha idea. I didn't know about the sriracha thing.
Yep.
I don't like hot sauce. Like it's funny. I'm not a big hot sauce person. I don't like spicy food. Even when I made that chili, it was fairly not spicy at all.
Right.
I believe I like rich flavors. I don't hate spicy. I have crawfish. If it's spicy, great. If it's not spicy, it's fine too. I just don't typically add it myself.
Sure.
I love sriracha. I thought when sriracha came out, it's the spiciest, hottest thing in the world, yada yada. Then I tasted it, I'm like, oh my gosh,
yeah.
this is
Yeah.
super flavorful. Is it spicy? Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you mix it with the right foods, it doesn't kill you on spice. The flavor profile is outstanding.
You could even add
I
a
bet
little
that's a
bit of
great
Taco
idea.
Bell sauce if you need to get it. If you're the Taco Bell packet kind of.
I don't buy Taco Bell sauce. I don't ever order Taco Bell sauce. I adore Taco Bell.
I know you
It's my
do.
weakness.
I don't know if you like the packets, but a little bit of that in there might.
I don't ever get sauce. I
No,
like all Taco
the
Bell stuff
sauce.
sauce free.
I see.
And being on Optavia, you can't very well get Taco Bell. So it's not even like I mean, I guess Kroger sells it. I could buy it from Kroger, but
They do sell the sauce. Yeah. But any kind of Tabasco, whatever, just
Yeah.
a little bit, a couple of dashes, just gives it a little zip.
no Tabasco. Look, I'm from Louisiana. Don't do Tabasco.
Like the
There's
hot
better-
sauce.
Yeah, there's better stuff.
Tabasco makes the sriracha now too.
Tabasco is Louisiana's #1 export. Like no one in Louisiana eats it. It's just
Well, congratulations on maintaining and
Yeah,
being
it's
a little
awesome.
less.
Thank you.
awesome.
You know,
Absolutely.
it's a daily struggle.
Yeah.
And having the foresight to know why maybe you got a little derailed.
Yeah. Last couple weeks were rough. This week was literally just stupidity.
Yep.
Just not paying attention to,
Makes sense.
not thinking about what I'm putting in my body.
It was tasty chili pie.
It was so good.
chili, Frito.
And I
whatever you
bought
call
it with the intention of not doing the Fritos, just having chili by
Yeah.
itself, which is not bad for you at all. And then I just, on a whim, thought Fritos.
It'd be
And,
good with the Fritos, yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, sometimes we do stupid things. We don't think about it till after the fact.
What are you trying to say? I feel like you're talking to me directly when you say that.
It's kind of like when you open a
Right.
power steering fluid
Yes.
container
Yes.
irresponsibly, and it gets all over your brand new
Yeah.
jeans that you just bought.
That hurts.
Anyways,
Yes, absolutely. Like the video, hit that subscribe button. It is free. It does help us out with the YouTube algorithm. Go ahead and share the video if you know someone who may enjoy listening to us ramble and talk on. Listen to us on all your favorite streaming podcast apps. We are out there.
we are out there.
We are getting lots of traction on that. And wanted to go ahead and also throw in one quick little thing. Some of you may have watched me from the Extra Boogie channel. I am now starting to do more live streams over there on my channel. So if you would like to come over and catch a live stream, chat with me, or chat with some other people from Hyfield, because I do plan on having some guests, go ahead and visit my channel, the Expediter Boogie, and would love to have you over there and talk with you sometime.
Is that what you call a shameless plug?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not shameless at all, just a plug.
Just a plug. There you go. That was fun the other night. It really was. Even though,
Yes.
I was on the keyboard playing Keyboard Warrior, it was a lot of fun just being involved. So
That
thanks for
was
doing
that was right after my solo, and
Yeah.
so I'm like high on that,
Yeah.
and I'm driving back, and I got an alert on YouTube on my phone that it was like, Jerry's going, I expected Biggie's going live, and I'm like, no.
What got me, though, on that was it said something about we're here to catch up or we're going to catch up or something. And I go, where? That means Don.
Yes, I saw that too. I saw
Imagine
that
my
too.
disappointment when Don didn't appear on the video.
Well, Jerry promised he would be there for the next one, so
I'll tell you a little behind the scenes story that
Mhm.
happened. After the live stream, he comes back up to me and he goes, well, he went and changed clothes, and he's like, I was going to pop in whenever I played the commercial that I did for Hyfield.
Right.
He was going to pop in right after that and say hey to everybody and talk for like a couple minutes and then pop out. But, yeah, he didn't do it.
Well, at least he changed clothes.
He did. He
that
tried.
was a start.
Yeah.
That he's making an effort. That was a start. Next time he'll change clothes and
it's like
maybe
when you're
stick his hand in or something.
yeah, it's like when you're going to the gym.
Yeah.
First step is you change clothes.
Right.
You're like,
Yeah.
okay, these fit all right,
Yep.
but
Okay.
another hour of sleep would be nice.
Exactly.
You got to build up
Next
to
time you drive to the gym.
it. Look at it.
Right.
Then you got a Jamba Juice next door.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Yeah.
smoothie. Yeah, I enjoyed it. So I saw the alert. Now I'm racing home from the airport. I pull in, and so Eric knew I soloed. He's like, "Let's go to dinner. Let's have fun." Yada yada. I'm like, 1 second. Expediter Boogie's going live. I'm not Eric. Is that not exactly?
Yeah, we were gonna go out have steak and everything.
Yes. I put all that on pause. Went down.
Aw.
I poured myself a big old glass of sweet tea. Diet sweet tea, Milo's with the Splenda.
Okay. Yeah.
So no calorie. I went down on my back porch, and it was the last day of the pretty days. So I sat on the back porch and I watched you and Eric sitting right across from me. He had to turn his volume down because he was a few seconds behind. We couldn't figure out what was going on with that. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed interacting with everybody that came out.
Can I tell on us?
Uh-oh.
So we sit there watching it on the big screen on the TV, and we each have our device in our lap, so we can comment individually while we're watching on TV. But we have our phones turned down, so nothing syncs up, right?
Yeah.
So the phone's turned down while we sit there with it on 3 different screens.
So we've done that before when a different person we knew that was doing some live streams, and we would do that, put it on the TV,
Mhm.
and then we would sit there and text back and forth. That was on someone who they did all much later, like
Yes.
9, 10 o'clock
Right.
kind of things. So there's no sense of being outside. It wasn't pretty anymore. And also, it was just so beautiful of a day. It was like,
We gotta
I
hang that TV
don't want
outside
to.
one
I
of these
don't want to
days.
sit inside. I really want to, because I knew this weather was coming. Like, it's freezing outside right now. I knew this was coming, so I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm going to take every second of the pretty day that I have left.
Yeah. You mentioned last
There's a
week
TV back here
that
in
we
case
had
you're curious.
500 views on Apple Podcasts.
Just over 500 downloads on Apple Podcasts.
Downloads.
Yep.
Do you get an award for that? Do you get extra points? Do you get something
I get a nice, pretty email saying congratulations with the little fireworks going off.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
But
Something.
it's definitely a milestone.
Nice.
Yeah.
We're actually closing in on YouTube. We are closing in on 900 subscribers.
Wow.
So
Wow.
please hit that subscribe button. It really, really would help us out. It costs you absolutely nothing. But yeah, we're closing in on 900 subscribers.
But what does it cost the user?
0. Absolutely 0.
And you know what?
What is the euro translate to?
What it gives
How many
you,
euros is that?
what it gives you is it gives you the notifications. Make sure you hit that notification bell. So
And
yeah.
if you don't, if you do that and you find you don't like what we're doing here, we'll give you your money back.
100%.
100% of what you paid to
120%.
watch this, we'll give back to
as
you.
long as you don't unsubscribe.
And if you don't like what you hear, thumbs down
Right.
and leave us an ugly comment.
Yeah.
We take
Let us
that
know
too.
what you want to hear.
Jerry reads every one of those comments.
I
Every
do.
one of them.
And I respond to everyone as well.
I think I read most because I'm the owner of the YouTube
Right.
channel or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I get the emails and I scroll
Yeah.
through and look and I'm like, okay. We still got to get to Raylene. I know she is out there. I still have a suggestion from her that I love, but it's one that I have to research. And I'm like, I got to get to that. I saw it.
Gotta
We'll
find
get to
that
it.
time.
In the meantime, everybody, we're going to be at Matt's in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I don't.
March 21st,
Yes.
Yes.
22nd, 21st, 22nd.
21st, 22nd. We're going
Yeah.
to be there Thursday and Friday. There is it goes through Saturday, but we will not be there on Saturday. So if you're there Thursday, Friday, look for us. We'll be walking around. I'm sure at some point we'll be at the ARI booth, and I'm sure at some point we'll
Yeah.
be at the
ArcBest.
ArcBest booth, hanging out with our friends at Panther. But we'll be there. We'll be just enjoying the show like y'all are as well. It's a great show. Go out and see it if you can. Reach out to us if you're going to be there. We'd love to say hi, shake your
Yeah.
hands, maybe give you a little interview.
Sure.
Jerry is dying to give interviews. But outside of that, hate to beat a dead horse, but still have no word on Expo. At
Yeah.
this point, my gut feeling is it's not looking promising.
I was on their website yesterday.
And
It said check back in the fall,
For information on 2024.
okay,
Yeah.
so
which seems kind of weird. Maybe they meant fall of last year for 2024.
I believe so.
Oh, so yeah, that's
yeah.
it's very
So-
outdated.
Mm.
Yeah.
Anyways, you know, we're working on some. We have a couple ideas
Yeah.
for you, Hyfield family, for some stuff that we're working on. In the meantime, stay safe, make good decisions.
Yeah. And don't leave money on the table.
And keep those wheels a turning.
Bye.
Good night.